Young Scotland's Got Talent was set up in 2010 to lobby for better employment support for young people with learning disabilities or autism who want to work. Since then, we have delivered over 20 inspirational events throughout Scotland. On 29th July, we held our first online Young Scotland's Got Talent to honour young people with additional needs who have been working on the front line during lockdown. This video features a workshop delivered by Scottish Commission for Learning Disability called Essential Skills and Qualities for Employment.
Yeah, so people might know me already, but my name is Cameron Smith and I'm the Events and Information Assistant for the Scottish Commission for People with Learning Disabilities. I'm here with my colleague Linda Mitchell, who is SCLD's Partnership and Development Manager. We're really pleased to be taking part in the Young Scotland Got Talent online event. We're going to talk to you about employment for young people with learning disabilities. So the plan for today is we'll talk to you a little bit about what about SCLD and what we do. We want to tell you about what a learning disability is, and we want to challenge some of the myths that you might have about employing with a young person with a learning disability, but we'll do all that together. I'm going to be sharing my own story about getting a job and progressing in my career. This will give you some handy hints and tips on people with learning disabilities in the workplace, and then hopefully you'll all be listening because we'll be finishing with a short. You'll hear from me later, so I'm going to hand over to Linda now.
Thanks, Cameron. And I have to say that Cameron is the star of this workshop. My input here is going to be short and brief. But we thought it would be important to tell you a little bit about the Scottish Commission for People with Learning Disabilities for those of you who don't know us. We do shorten it to SCLD because our full title is quite a mouthful. So SCLD's vision is very much for a fairer Scotland where people with learning disabilities lead full, safe, loving and equal lives. And that is a big aspiration. What helps us to make that a reality for people with learning disabilities living and working in Scotland is the Keys to Life. And the Keys to Life is Scotland's learning disability strategy. It was launched in 2013. And basically the Keys to Life is a big plan on how we make Scotland a better place for people with learning disabilities to live and work. 52 recommendations were in the Keys to Life. So 52 things on your to-do list is quite a lot. And we have been working over the past couple of years on something called an implementation plan that really focuses on key areas. Cameron, if I can get you to. So there are 4 themes within the recent implementation plan: well-being, living, learning and working. Now, one of the crucial things about the work we do is we do not do this alone. In every part of our work, we talk to people with learning disabilities, we consult with people with learning disabilities about all the areas of people's lives that are important. And without exception, in every consultation event and in every engagement event, and of all the people that we talk to, many people with learning disabilities always talk about wanting to work, the importance of having a job, the challenges around getting a job and keeping a job. And it's the voice of people with learning disabilities that shapes Keys to Life and our direction forward. So the 4 themes that we are currently working on have been led by people with learning disabilities about the areas that are most important in their lives. And we all know that having a job, will impact on our well-being, will impact on the way we live, and will impact on our learning. So these 4 themes are not standalone, they all interlink. Another thing that I should say is that all the work of SCLD is underpinned by evidence, and evidence is really, really important. We need the evidence to be able to influence the change makers in the world of employment. So we need to be able to have real strong facts about the employment rate, about the challenges around the employment agenda. For learning, it might interest you to know that when young people with learning disabilities leave school, 52% of young people with learning disabilities go on to college as a destination. 52%, that's more than double the average for people leaving school. And part of the work that we are doing with our employment colleagues just now is looking at what happens when young people finish college. What is it that we need to put in place to allow that jump into employment to happen? And we're working very closely with our further education colleagues and colleagues in employment to really look at that and how we can make that better and make those outcomes better for people with learning disabilities at that particular point. One of the things that I would like to highlight today for any young people who are about to leave school is the Independent Living Fund Scotland. ILF Scotland have a transitions fund, and this transitions fund is available to young people aged 16 to 25 who are living with a disability. The fund can offer up to £7,500 to young people at that point of leaving school for 1 year. And the idea behind that is that young people can use that money to have new experiences, to really shape maybe their thoughts about what they want to do in terms of getting a job. So the kind of activities are around building confidence and giving new experiences and hopefully improving independence. So the fund can be used for things that are very particular to each individual person, but it might be art lessons, it could be music, it could be learning new technology, it could be joining a club or a class, but it's a really, really important fund that I don't think very many people are aware of, and it gives you that chance to experience new things that might really shape the decisions you make for your future career. Working is extremely important. We know that. That's why we're here today. That's what Young Scotland's Got Talent is all about. It's all about, you know, the jobs that are out there, you know, and the art of the possible. And maybe today you will hear from people like Cameron, you know, and you might think, oh, I never thought about doing that particular job. And it might open up, you know, new avenues for you to think about and explore. And that's what we hope. But you heard from Charlie earlier. Cameron, can I get you to change the slide? You heard from Charlie, who is the Chief Executive of the Scottish Commission for People with Learning Disabilities. And Charlie highlighted in his keynote speech the employment rate for people with a learning disability in Scotland. It is dire. It is only 4.1% of all adults with a learning disability and or autism known to local authorities in Scotland are in employment, 4.1%. The employment rate in Scotland sits round about 73%, and yet for people with a learning disability, this is the figure, 4.1%. And I mentioned evidence, and this is evidence through Learning Disability Statistics Scotland in 2019. So we know this is the reality for people in Scotland. We need to make that, we need to absolutely have a seismic shift to improve the employment rate for people with learning disabilities. I'm working alongside colleagues in Values into Action Scotland and through Young Scotland's Got Talent. That's really what we're aiming to do, is to talk to young people with learning disabilities and autism, talk to employers, you know, and only by working together can we improve this. Thanks, Cameron. We weren't sure who our audience was going to be today, so we put in a slide about who are people with learning disabilities, because this is something that we get asked a lot. And first and foremost, what I would like to say is people with learning disabilities are work colleagues, employers, friends, relatives, brothers, sisters, cousins. You know, people with learning disabilities are all sorts of people, just like everybody else. However, a learning disability is significant and is lifelong. It does start before adulthood, and it does affect a person's development to a greater or lesser degree. And that really means that for some folks with learning disabilities may need a bit of help to understand information. And you'll see today that all of our slides are pictorial, you know, so hopefully there are some good clues for each slide, as well as us telling you what the content of each slide is. So you need to think about how you present your information sometimes. Some people need a little bit of help to learn new skills so that they can lead a hugely fulfilling life. And that's not my story to tell. This is Cameron's story to tell that you're going to hear just shortly. We also know that some people with learning disabilities have more complex needs and may need support with their healthcare and may need support with communication. So people come in all shapes and sizes, just like everybody else. And we're going to talk to you today about some of the easy, simple things that can get put into place that can make employment a really positive experience for people with learning disabilities. We've got an untapped market in Scotland. We will be due a new census next year, but if you look at the figures from the 2011 census, there's 26,349 people in Scotland with a learning disability. There's a percentage of those folks who are willing and able and have talent and skills that would benefit employers and their organisations. It's 0.5% of Scotland's population. And yet, if you think of that statistic, 4.1% of people in employment, it is true that still in 2020, people with learning disabilities in Scotland are not yet enjoying the same life chances as others. And that is part of the work that SCLD does, is to challenge that and to make that difference. And we do that by working very much in partnership with colleagues in the Scottish Government, very much in partnership with people in education, further education and in employment. And most crucially, with people with learning disabilities themselves. We cannot do this alone. Cameron. So, we were going to look at a myth-busting exercise, which I would still like to do with the people in the audience that we have today. We were thinking that we might have some employers in the audience, and we were going to ask the question to our employers: what worries or concerns do you have about working alongside a colleague who has a learning disability? And I think there are a couple of people in the audience that will have a view on that. But I think we'd also like to ask the people with learning disabilities in our audience about what your experience is of getting a job, and also what worries or concerns might you have. So we're going to open this up to you, to the audience, and Cameron and I will facilitate this. So we would like you to come off your, unmute yourselves and come and join this conversation. So, Liz, can I come to you first of all? Because I know you've got a lot of experience in working with employers. Could you maybe tell us a couple of things in your experience that employers are concerned about?
I think a lot of probably employers would think that it's beyond them, maybe that they're going to have to spend a lot of time with people that they're not going to fit in, because maybe they feel that productivity might be less than, that they're going to need to spend a lot of time, all the support and stuff that's in place. And I think also I've heard employers talk about like what other members of the they employ actually would think about that. I think there's been like a bit of a fear factor. It's just basically about the unknown, what to expect basically. But certainly within the work that I've been involved with, sort of evaluating all that and the outcomes of those employers that actually have successfully taken people on, that it's been just absolutely a significantly positive experience all round. I found that the commitments has been exceptionally high, that the output, as you know, with the work that people are actually doing on a daily basis has far exceeded the rest of the frontline staff, putting them shamefully, with their heads down, yeah, sort of suppose recognising that it shouldn't be as scary, because there is some good support out there, through supported employment kind of models and so on, where people will actually work hand in hand with the organisation or the company, educating them, I suppose, as well, and getting rid of some of those myths as well that they fear are in the background. Shh. That's why
the joys of Zoom.
That's why I was on mute. It's kind of going all bashful now. What was I saying? Yeah, so the overcoming some of all those myths, and I think actually those successful employers are actually have now become, I suppose, ambassadors, promoting the success of employing people, having testimonials from people themselves saying, look, we have people, for example, maybe hotel work or cafe or on the production line or whatever it might be, testimonials where people actually come in specifically because they know they're going to get a good service from, Joe Bloggs, who they've actually employed. And that, to me, and to the employers, have actually highlighted that, these myths, are just that, and it's about sort of being willing and able to sort of and be supported, I suppose, to actually take those first steps, work with ourselves, work with those people from like employment ages to actually make sure that they enable them to put in the support mechanisms, give them the training, talk about what a learning disability is about, what autism is about, cutting through all those questions and answers, and getting rid of all those myths as well, and just supporting them to actually go through the process and employing people. And it's not like it's going to go away, to make sure that good employment services should always be around and keep going and checking and so on and so forth. And I think that has been a success where people actually have really made it, and like we've got some really good examples in our organisation, as do you, and there are times when it isn't easy, and we have to question how we actually do things, how can I best support individuals, but it's about actually having open and honest conversations with those people that we're supporting and actually talking through how to make it better.
Liz, thank you so very much. I think you covered those myths extremely well. But before we move on, John, can I come to you?
Yes, you can, Linda.
Thank you. So, John, I'd like to, if you're willing, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but if you're willing, could you maybe tell us what some of the challenges have been for you, in getting a job and holding on to a job?
I think it's finding the right employer, and and giving you that support. So you're not getting that much support with it. So that's what I've been finding difficult with it. not pointing, I mean, people saying they're not pointing you in the right direction, to get support to be in a work placement as well.
Okay, so getting the right information as to where to go to get the right support is really important.
Yes.
I think I am going to make a wee note of that, John, because I think that's really important, and I think we'll carry that forward to the Q&A as well, because I think that's a really important message, because I think that's I don't know if you'd agree, but I think that's one of the biggest barriers, isn't it?
It is, because people want to go to work, and they're not confident, especially for going on public transport. I mean, people are just so scared to go on public transport and going to work independently, because some of them will find that difficult, and plus as well, they'll not know where the workplace is. So they would need that support in place first. To do a work taster, maybe for a couple of weeks, and just to see how they get on. And if they're more confident enough, then they can and then see if they can try it by themselves.
I think that's a huge point, John, because we talk about getting a job, isn't it? But so much more than that. It's how do you get there every day? How do you travel? Independent travel? How are you going to manage all of that? So you've raised some really important points. Thank you, Liz.
I think it's also a step before that as well. I think it's about how people with learning disabilities or autism actually are aware of the job opportunities that are actually out there. How do they actually go to find a job? How do they fill in a CV? What steps they need to take, and who's actually out there to support them? Because certainly a lot of employers that we know actually don't make those that information easily known and accessible to people. So it's like, I've often said to in some of the groups that I've worked with, like, would you ever consider applying for a job on a for a housing association or a building company or on the railway or whatever? And they go, oh no, because it sort of gets thinking like it's quite a narrow kind of job. I'm not going to be a bricklayer or something, but there's more. It's a much bigger field, but they would never consider it. And so you have to ask the question why. So there's a lot of answers to that, I think, as well.
Well, at the moment, I support people at Inverness College at the moment. So we host a transitions lunch club. So me and my friend have set that up because the college. Don't want too much information, but they were just doing it wrong, basically. And the shock, I just heard some really shocking stories that a number of young people with disabilities have been there for over a decade doing the same subject.
And I think that's a really important point, John, isn't it? That people are getting really stuck, and are sort of cycling round, like a hamster on a wheel, and that's where it becomes really crucial for.
And I said to them, how has that happened? I said the first question was, do you offer work placements? Because I said that was my first question. Oh, no, we don't. And I said, that's where you're going wrong then. So how is people going to move on and, not getting that work experience first, and, and not supporting them with that work experience and finding what they want to do? And, so basically they just want them to stay at college. But like I say, college, you cannot stay for college forever. It's not possible. You've got to move on.
You're absolutely right, John, and I think you've made some hugely important points there. I think we're going to have a lot to discuss in our Q&A this afternoon, so keep hold of all of those thoughts too. Thank you very much, John and Liz, for your input there. So we're going to go back to the presentation, if we can. Cameron, who is the IT whiz and guru here.
Yeah, yep.
Brilliant. And if we can just go to the next slide, Cameron, that'd be great. Oh, one before, if possible.
Having some technical.
That's it. Great. Thank you. So you heard from Liz, and I think, Liz, you highlighted all of the concerns, I think, that we've listed here, and we've just listed these from the conversations that we've had with employers, so there are no surprises. Liz, I know that you misbusted some of these ones while you were talking, which was great, but you know, fitting in with the team, how productive are people going to be? Are people going to be off more in terms of being poorly and sick? What about health and safety? What do I need to think about for that? How much time is it going to take me or my team to support somebody to bring them up to speed? Do you know, what does this mean for policy and procedures? All of these things. I'm not going to misbust any more, because I'm now going to hand over to Cameron, because Cameron is really the mythbuster here. So Cameron works for SCLD, and Cameron's going to talk to you about his journey into employment, finding a job, getting a job, keeping a job, and most importantly, about ambition when you're in a job. So without further ado, Cameron, over to you.
Thank you very much for that, Linda. So, hi, it's Cameron, I'm back again. So I thought it would be helpful to talk to you about what's helped me with my journey to work. I have a learning disability, and I have dyslexia and dyspraxia as well. So here's a little bit more about my journey. So I left school in 2013, and I got a project search internship. So project search is a one-year internship that first started in Ohio in 1996. During the internship, there was a mixture between classroom learning and work placements, which I'll go on to explain about. In Scotland, project search runs in a college year, so between August and June. So I done my project search internship at Hamer's Hospital. And during the internship, on my first rotation, I did 3 days in audiology, 2 days in orthopaedics, and the second rotation I did portering, but I didn't finish this because I got my first job in SCLD, but I did graduate from project search in 2014, and then moved on to a part-time receptionist post on a 2-year fixed-term contract with SCLD. During that time, I did my SVQ level 2 and 3 in business and administration, and now I'm the events and information assistant. So I just thought it would be good to hear about during your work experience, kind of what I learned, what support needed to my ambition. So what I learned, the job coach and my time in the training room during project search really helped me with my timekeeping, routine and travel, getting to know new people, and new people getting to know me, getting to know new routines, learning to cope with change, building my confidence, and working as part of a team. So what support I needed? So project search helped me with interview techniques and my CV and how to fill in application forms. My work experience gave me the motivations and helped me get ready for my first real job. And my ambition was to get a job either part-time or full-time, to earn money and to enjoy a better life. So to be able to go on holiday, go to the pub, go out for dinner, independence, and a better job and promotion. So working at SCLD, I'm the first point of contact for visitors and staff, either coming into the office or telephone. into the office, administration to events and helping at events all across Scotland, supporting Charlie, which is our CEO's diary, speaking at events like this one today, social media events, and ITC support team. So I've learned a lot of skills, like working as part of a team, prioritising work, problem solving, communication skills, and patience. So this is what I do at SCLD, and now here is what SCLD has learned from me. So SCLD has learned about dyslexia and dyspraxia, and learning how to support somebody with a learning disability into the workplace, including what's available to employers, for example, access to work, which me and Linda will go on and talk about in a wee second, and learning all about computers and technology. But so I don't let anything hold me back. I'm enthusiastic, reliable, and do the best I can with whatever job needs done. But sometimes I have difficulty remembering things. I get words muddled up sometimes and struggle a little bit with spelling. They look all right to me, but not to other people. I can struggle if I'm given too much information at one time, or if someone asks me to do more than 2 jobs at one time. This stresses me and I get flustered. I might not be able to do the job just as well. It takes the time. If someone takes the time to give me one instruction at a time and is really clear about what they want me to do, I can rattle through the tasks and move on to the next one. It takes time to learn the rules at work. The one thing that makes the biggest difference to me is having supportive colleagues who understand my learning disability and give me the little bit of support that I need. They win because I get all the jobs done for them. I do it well and get great feedback for the work I do. Like everyone, sometimes I might not get it right, and over the time my confidence is growing. Now I ask anyone in the office if they need any help, or if I have some spare time and don't have enough to do. It can take time for people with learning disabilities to be confident enough to ask for help. The best thing you can do is make sure that person has someone they can go to. You can call that person a buddy. My buddy is the person that I check in with. They keep me on track and make sure I have got a really clear work plan. They are my go-to person if I have questions. Unless someone tells me, I might not be able to see what needs done. My main buddy now is Christine, my line manager Christine. She keeps me right all the time. Here are some of the things that helped. Here are some of the things that helped me during my work experience and now in my job. There were other supports that I have at work that I will go on and tell you about in a minute. So on this slide, you can see what works for me. So I have a quick catch-up meeting with my line manager every morning. I have a daily task list. I have a clear priority of tasks. I work with checklists to make sure things are done, doing one thing at a time, confident enough to ask members of the team for help, and dyslexia-specific software funded by Access to Work, which me and Linda will go on to just in a wee second. I also ask my colleagues to send me a quick email about what they want to do. This helps me check I get it done. When I don't understand something, knowing who to go to about it. When I feel overwhelmed and there was too many things happening, knowing who to go to ask for help. And if I don't have enough to do, knowing who the person to let them know. As you can see, it's the smallest things that are easy to do that make the biggest difference. Obviously, working at SCLD, I've learned a lot of skills. So working as part of a team, prioritising work, problem solving, and communication skills. A job is important to me because it gives me independence, money to have a life, so go to the pub, go for dinner, go on holiday, save my own, that, meeting people, having a purpose to my day, learning new skills, and having fun and a little bit of banter. So my project search experience was very important, and it gave me the skills and confidence to do what I am doing today. and me and Linda will go on and explain a wee bit about access work. I've got a little bit more doing currently at the moment.
Okay, thanks so much, Cameron. So access to work might be familiar to the audience here, but Cameron and I worked together to put in an access to work request. And I think, Cameron, it was a pretty easy process, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very, very easy, very quick, and it only took about 10 minutes to do the application form. Yeah.
So it was a quick online application, and Cameron and I worked together to do that, and we had some good chats, didn't we, Cameron, before we put in that application?
We did.
And those chats were really to find out, you know, to talk to Cameron about some of the areas that were maybe he was maybe having a wee bit of difficulty with, talking about what we thought some of the solutions to that could be, you know, and then going through access to work, you know, to get those supports in place. So Cameron, once we put in the application, what happened then?
So somebody from Access to Work came out to SCLD and done a workplace assessment with me and Linda, and that was to find out exactly what support I needed, and I basically told them a little bit about my background as well.
And what kind of solutions did they advise? What did they advise you?
So they advised me that I could get so these kind of things on the screen, so which is like colour overlays, a live sky pen and notepad, which means when I write down my minutes, so basically live sky pen and notepad, it's a special pen and notepad, and it records what I write, and then I use another piece of software to download what's on the pen, so I can listen back to it as well. Read and write software, which reads out what I write as well, and some workplace coaching as well. Great.
And the workplace coaching, can you tell us a wee bit more about that? What did that involve?
So that involved 4 workplace sessions, which the workplace sessions was that we talked about what issues I had, and not really issues that I had, what I was struggling with in the workplace, and the person from Colourfield Training, who was very helpful, worked with me on solving some of these solutions. So I'll be able to tell you about that we were talking about me doing a presentation to a conference that I was able to go to present about a bit like this, but what my job was entailed, and the person from Colourfield Training gave me some hints and tips about remembering some of my long speeches, so from a start to middle to end, and the way that you kind of done it was try to think about a place in Glasgow for my office, so go out, turn right, in the corner, there's your place, so you kind of taught me through some of that stuff for remembering what to say in my presentation.
Great. So have these things helped you, Cameron, in your day-to-day job?
These things have massively helped me in my day-to-day job because I use them every day. Great.
And I think maybe what we'd both like to say, Cameron, and please chip in here, is that you know, access to work is easy to access. You know, it gets people the supports that they need to enable them to be as productive as possible in the workplace. You know, and it was at no cost, wasn't it? At that
no,
time?
It was at no cost. Access to work, the employer can give a donation in as well, but they're not obliged to if they don't want to as well.
So it was really hassle-free, wasn't it? And easy to do, and has made a big difference, I think, to your life, Cameron, but also, you know, as for our organisation, you know, it's been a great boon because Cameron has done, you know, worked so hard for us in so many ways. So Cameron, back to you because you're going to tell us a bit more about that.
I am. So I am now going to go on and explain about how my job's changed massively during COVID and being on the front line. So within a week of lockdown, we went, all staff went from being in the office as a team to working at home on our own. Like most organisations, SCLD staff are currently working from home in our office because of coronavirus. Not working from the office does not mean that we have stopped hosting our meetings/events. Our meetings that we are hosting are being done through Microsoft Teams and Zoom, and we are still attending external meetings. We also have regular coffee breaks with colleagues. You don't need to chat about work, but this is very important nowadays as COVID is going on and you're not seeing people face to face. I am still the first point of contact for the organisation for the phone, on the phone through our new phone system. The major change has been technology, which was not a problem for me, but was which was a challenge for some members of the team.
Hands up, that's me and one or two of my older colleagues.
So some of the things that I've been doing during lockdown in terms of technology are we've introduced a new internet phone system and I have trained the team in installing and using this. I supported the team members who have not used Microsoft Teams before and learning how to operate all the functioning Teams. I was a key member of the project team who introduced GoToWebinar. I was responsible for downloading the analytics from a webinar to share with Linda. And finally, from me, this year we delivered Scotland's Learn Disability Week very differently. Due to the coronavirus, we had to do this online. But by putting this online, there was a lot more people engaging with us virtually, and it was great to see what people were doing. SCLD hosted 3 Make and Takes communities for our people on our Facebook group, but it's worked out successfully. We set this up on Zoom, and people who joined brought something that they'd made and took away new ideas. These were really successful, and we're now hosting a Facebook community every 2 weeks to support people to keep in touch. Also during Learn Disability Week, I co-delivered with Charlie McMillan, our Chief Executive, a Learn Disability awareness session via Skype for Business for the Scottish Government. We had 79 civil servants join the session and it was great, and we received great feedback from them. I also support the Chief Executive and the managers with scheduling meetings, and an SCLD staff team meeting takes place using Microsoft Teams every 2 weeks to make sure everyone is okay, to give updates and to check where we are with work that we are doing. And at the beginning of lockdown, we set up a SCLD Stay in Touch Facebook group as a way for people with learning disabilities to keep in touch with us, and I help moderate the group. So basically, just to summarise what's on this slide, I support SCLD social media communications during the Disability Week. I was facilitating some virtual communities. I'd done a Learn Disability awareness session, which I co-delivered with SCLD's Chief Executive. I met 79 people during the call. I coordinate team meetings using Microsoft Teams, and I help moderate SCLD's Facebook group as well. And I'm now going to hand back to Linda for.
Okay, so I'd like you all to unmute yourselves if you can now. Cameron, I would just like to say a huge thank you for your presentation. I think people will agree, you know, you are an indispensable member of the SCLD team. You have so many skills that you bring to our team, and we learn so much from you, not least on the ICT side. You know, we are very, very grateful for all you do, but I would hope that Cameron's story switches on some light bulbs for people about the art of the possible, and to really see the skills that people bring, to an organisation. And Cameron, I think you said really well there, here's what I've learnt from SCLD, but really importantly, what have SCLD learnt from you and all that you have brought to the organisation? So over to the floor for any questions for Cameron, please.
I just find it actually absolutely amazing. You're a true inspiration, Cameron. You've done and achieved amazing heights basically in your employment, and in your world, in your life. And dare I say, did I even mention Prague? that was amazing. That was amazing.
And that was a working visit to Prague on a supported employment visit to some supported employment organisations as well.
And I suppose to share that you actually blew people away there as well from your input and the stories that you shared. So it's like you've globally renowned for what you do.
Fantastic. Thanks, Liz. John, have you got anything you'd like to ask Cameron?
I think you're just such an inspiration, Cameron. You've done so well. Amazing. So, and I look forward to working with you, with all these different projects in the future. So that would be nice to work with you.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it as well, and I'm looking forward to working with you to get your story out as well, John, because you've got such an amazing story as well. I look forward to working with you on that as well.
This is where it's so important that stories like yours, Cameron, are heard amongst all different employers out there who are actually thinking about what would this mean for me. It's not until actually the kind of hear and see and meet and witness things that actually the light bulb actually goes on and think, well, maybe I could do this, and also an inspiration to other people out there who might have a learning disability or autism, to actually say, well, I mean, I get very frustrated when I come across some people who have never kind of been, I suppose even encouraged or supported to actually think about they could possibly get a job. And I'm of the opinion that everybody should have a job, and everybody can be working at all sorts of different levels. It's just actually being inspired and hearing these stories and actually saying, well, maybe I could do that as well. So it's hats off to you all, John and Corrie as well, sitting here in their stories.
Thank you. Corrie, have you got any wee question for Cameron?
Well, the first thing I want to say is sorry for coming in and out. One is a desperate need for the toilet, and the other one is a desperate need for quiet. So
the dog.
But other than that, it's just good hearing Cameron's story. It's a good inspiration for people who may have learning disabilities, and so the more people that hear the message, the better. Don't really have a question per se.
That's okay.
So I'm a bit useless, but
not at all. That's okay.
And talking about the dog situation, I've got a feeling that might have been my dog you might have heard as well. So my apologies for that as well.
Don't you love Zoom because you get such a snapshot into people's
great. The other half's left now, so I'm going, oh crumbs. I sort of like beads of sweat on my forehead. All open plan. But I think for certainly for what I've come across, and it's like not kind of rocket science in any respect, but I mean hearing stories from people and about the ordinariness of actually people having a job, and that's what it's all about. It's about you have a job, you earn money, you meet more people, you have a social group of people, you have meaningful relationships, you have the abilities to actually buy, you know, spending power. You buy your own house, pay your own rent, whatever it might be. Go out for meals, socialise. Yeah, just do things like ordinary things, and that's what it's really all about. Ordinary lives.
Yeah, having a great life.
Great life.
Great life. That's what we're about, having a great life for everybody. So we are almost finished this session, but to finish off, we're going to hand back to Cameron and do. We've got 4 quiz questions for you. So I tell you what you could do. You could use the chat function, okay, and pop in what you think the answer is. Okay, Cameron, back to you.
Yeah. I need to wait for this on the top of Zoom to go away so I could do this.
You're doing a
Okay,
great job.
so hopefully you've been listening. So the first question is, what is the Scottish Government's current national strategy for learning disability called? I can't pronounce that today. A, the keys to the future, B, the keys to the door, C, the keys to life, and D, the same as you.
Oh, that looks like a resounding C, Cameron. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. C is the right answer. It is the keys to life. Thank you so much. Back to you, Cameron.
Why is it not clicking? Why can it not click anymore? What is the name of the project that helped me get my job? A, Project Ability, B, Project Fear, C, Project Search, and D, Project Go.
Oh, I really want to do the other one. I want to put B.
Do that for a laugh, love.
I think so. We're unanimously all C's. Yeah. So Project Search it was, Cameron, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, number 3. What is the percentage of school leavers with a learning disability to go to college? A, 22%, B, 32%, C, 42%, or D, 52%? Putting up my 10 times tables here.
Oh, we're getting into specifics now.
I'm going to wait.
Yeah, bide your time, Liz. Bide your time.
All right.
John, I feel that's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. Oh, but you're in there. You're right, John. Yeah,
Veering off track.
It is D. 52% of school leavers, young people with learning disabilities, go on to college. And John, I am reminded of what you said about people being stuck, at college for many, many years. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more, I think, today. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron.
And the final one is, if I can get this on track, what is the estimated employment rate for people with a learning disability? A, 4, B, 10, C, 24, and D, 55.
If I keep saying C, then it'll eventually be right.
I'm really sorry, Corey.
If I went E,
don't let me down now, please.
If I went E, it would be 100%. But
yeah, unfortunately, it is that very stark figure of 4%.
Mm-hmm.
So well done, Liz and John. That.
Yeah, just breeze past me.
And in case you were wondering, yeah, it is C, it is C, it is D, and it is A.
I was right twice.
Fantastic.
I'm the third winner.
The third winner, of course. So As most of you will know, but we always like to let people know how they can get in contact with us. You know, so you can contact Cameron and I, you know, at SCLD. You can phone us on 0141 248 3733 and you will get Cameron answering the phone. You can drop us an email to admin@scld.co.uk.
And that'll go to Linda.
Eventually.
Why wouldn't you want to email? If that's the case.
And we would encourage you to have a look on our website, www.scld.org.uk, because there's a wealth of information and resources available from the website. And we'd also encourage you to have a look at the Keys to Life website, which you can find on keystolife.info. So please don't hesitate to contact either Cameron or myself if you've got any questions from today, because we know we've had limited time today to cover a very, very important subject. So please don't hesitate to get in contact. Can I just finish by thanking my colleague Cameron for sharing his story. And thank you to John, Liz and Corey for joining us this morning.